Welcome to another episode of SpeakUp, LightUp. If you are an entrepreneur, oncepreneur, or simply a person who wants to build life based on your own terms and conditions, you are investing your time right. I'm your host, Valerie Prasetyo. Today we're going to talk about an essential part of business engine. Guess what it is? It's branding. So how to build a powerful and sustainable, long-lasting brand during such a crazy time when everything changes so fast. Let me bring in our improvised studio our guest. Our special guest today is Nina Seredai, founder and managing director of Nin's Space, that helps clients build meaningful and engaging brands. Having over 19 years experience, her notable list of clients includes the UAE and Oman governments, Expo 2020, Four Seasons Hotels, the Ritz-Carlton, and others. Her vision is to change the business mindset of entrepreneurs from short-term profit thinking to long-term value creation for all. Welcome, Nina.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. It's such an honor.
So, for many brand, it's just their logo is just maybe name, website, some aesthetic part of it, but brand is so much more. And so let's start from the basics to make it clear. What is brand exactly? Why it matters? And why entrepreneurs should continuously invest in building up their brands?
Well, that's a great question. It actually encompasses many questions in it. So let's start from the beginning. The main thing is, it's still, believe me or not, I've been doing this for 19 years in the Middle East with medium and large companies, and I still get the questions from even senior marketeers. What is a brand? Is brand our logo, or is it our campaign, and so on? And the simple explanation what I give to my clients is that brand is everything that your company is doing, everything. Brand is what people say about your company or service when you're not in the room, as Jeff Bezos says. It's everything. It's everything what your company has done so far, everything what your company is doing, and what the plans are. So brand equals your business. So that's the brand part. Why is it important to continue revisiting it, looking at it, and building it? Is as important as why it is important to look at your business all the time, especially when it's difficult times, crisis. Yeah. It's essential to go back to basics, look at what you stand for, look at your brand, evaluate it, look at your competitors, customers, and make it, and align it all together, and find back that emotional connections with your customers. So it is important, and the important thing is to remember one thing: that brand is your business, and that's definitely something that already puts you apart from many people.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, it's interesting that over the years, like, there are a lot of brand managers, there are a lot of companies who are helping to elevate brands, and still people are considering it as just like small parts of it, instead of thinking that brand is also values, it's your corporate culture, it's everything, it's your customer service, and this kind of extension. So the question is, to really stand out, you have to think about how to build up the brand of your company, how to bring the brand of a particular product or service, how to build your personal brand. So how to keep everything in balance in order to be everything is congruent, everything fits to each other.
Well, that's a lot of companies still having that figured out fully. But what's important is, so first of all, understand that brand is, if we put it in simple words, also something that helps you to humanize your product or service. It helps you to connect with your customers emotionally, right? So it's not, marketing is more pushing the product. It's also about emotional connection, of course, but marketing is more pushing the product to the customers, selling the product, or bringing it to the market. Now, how to align it all? First of all, a lot of people and a lot of my clients actually neglect a very important part of brand building process, which is a brand strategy. They take it for granted. Brand strategy is as essential as your business strategy. It's something that connects your product and services with your customers. It is something that actually, it's an actionable plan of how you want to develop your company. It also helps you to differentiate from competitors. It's something that helps you to build your culture in the company. And the important thing, it inspires you during the good times, and it also helps you to stay on the right track, on the right direction in the difficult times. So in order to align everything, including personal brands, that comes now to, that also is an important part now nowadays. Everyone is a brand. So your company brand, your personal brand, your employees, in order to align it all, you need to start with a strategy. And strategy, you know, the word scares a lot of people, but the strategy could be very difficult and very complex, or it could be simple, an A4 page. The most important thing is to have it. So start with a strategy.
Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of, as I understand, it starts from the foundation, and it's you, like, who is running the business. It's your brand, meaning what your stands for, what your values, what you want to bring into this world. And then your company becomes, even if it's like legally wise, a completely separate entity, it's in a way aligns with you. So there can be some elements that is naturally, let's say, flowing, like part of your brand. It goes like merges with the brand of the company. At the same time, of course, company can have some like a bit different elements as well. So does the product. And I find it very interesting how the new companies, you know, new brands are evolving on the markets. And, you know, you have an incredible list of clients, like you work with huge organizations. It's governments, but also it's Emirates Group, it's Ritz. And I know that you also work with the smaller size businesses and entrepreneurs. So you have a bit broader picture. There are some examples I've seen when these small players, they were able to buy a piece of cake, let's say a very significant part of market share of big players. So maybe you have, from your experience, any kind of, I don't know, stories or examples, maybe some tools and strategies. As you mentioned, strategy is a very important part that our audience can benefit in order to get the market share they really deserve.
The interesting thing that a lot of startups now are very successful, those who want to be successful and with amazing ideas, they come to us, like I said, with a great idea. But one thing they don't know is who their customers are. So they have this, they created this amazing technology, for example,
everybody, normally,
right? But then they really not sure who they're gonna sell it to, who their customers are. So one of the essential things also when you write a strategy, and if I may say, this brand strategy consists of 3 simple things, if we were to simplify it. A is, what's your purpose? Yeah, what is your vision? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And purpose is something that I can explain more a bit later. So what's your purpose? Why you do what you do? What's your vision? Where are you going with it? And what's your mission? How are you going to achieve it? Number 2 is your identity. Is something that your customers, your employees, your stakeholders will be able to identify you with. That's where your values, your attributes, your personality, your tone of voice, your colors, your logo, everything comes to play, is the identity of your company. And number 3 is your brand positioning. Is something that how you're going to be different, significantly different. It's not enough anymore to be slightly different. You need to be radically different from your competitors. You need to know exactly what space you want to occupy in your customer's mind. And in order to do that, you need to know very well what who your customers are, what their needs are, what their aspirations are, what's their mindset, lifestyle, everything, as much information as you can possibly gather and analyze. It will be very beneficial for you. So these are three ingredients of any strategy. Like I said, could be very complex or could be simple, but you need to get them at least written on the paper. And you start with yourself and your customer. Customers are no longer in successful brands just people who buy products. Customers are movements, they're cults, they're tribes nowadays. So it's important to understand them. So I think, one of the advice I would give is define your customer, understand them, and live with them on a daily basis, and delight them, surprise them, deliver everything that you promise. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. We have, I think, very important conversation nowadays in terms of that. Okay, there was times in the past when all these big companies were building, like really investing a lot in building up very, unshakable brand, let's say. That's why nowadays people say, okay, if you can buy any product like for $50 and here's the same quality, but there is a brand on top of this, is like 500, 5,000, and people easily buy that. That's what brand really means. But during like the times changing, and I think in one of the episodes we had with Les Evans, who is also a marketing consumer behavior guru, we were discussing this topic, that during the last years, especially the last 3 years, because of all the craziness that happens in the world, pandemic, war, and any other kind of changes that happened in the consumer behavior, it changed a lot. So we have different priorities, we have different purchasing psychology behind everything. And in general, this is just like recent times, and there's also time in between. There was also some changes happening. How these big brands are able to adapt? They have specific values, they have specific promises to their customers because they know exactly whom they sell. But if it doesn't fit anymore, for example, it's not relevant anymore to spend an insane amount of money, just because, nowadays it's a little bit different environment, it's a little bit different conditions of living. Also, I don't know, the new generations, they are paying attention and they are focused probably more on sustainability, for example. So how are they able to navigate or a little bit maybe evolve maybe through rebranding? I don't know if you have to go in this kind of direction. So what are your thoughts about this?
So I think to start with, brands, like you said, brand is when your customer, let me put it this way. A lot of people think that brand is something expensive, and that just, there's water and there's Evian water, and I pay so much more for Evian water, and here's the brand. Yes, it is. Brand is something when your customer is ready to pay premium for your products above the average market price. However, they're willingly doing that, right? It's not that, I just put whatever price and I think I have a brand. No, they're willing to pay the price that is above the average market price. And they're willing to pay the price because they see value in your product or service. They see value because they see logic of that quality, safety, all the right things. They also have an emotional connection. They know how it makes me feel, what other people say about me. Maybe it's adds to my belief system. Also, it adds to my views on life and so on. So that's why they buy it, not just because it's more expensive, have a beautiful label. Now, in terms of big brands is something, the difference between brand and product is products are being made in manufacturing, in tech, software developers' offices, on the in agriculture, in the fields. These are products. Brands are being built in your minds, in your consumers' minds. Brand is such an asset for the company that stays for, that's always stays there. Chairman changes, CEOs of the companies changes, products go through their life cycles and become obsolete, but brands as an asset stay with the company. So how does it do it? How do big companies, and not just big companies, how do successful companies do it? They make sure they stay relevant, exactly like you said. They're relevant to their customers. They're relevant, they're constantly delivering that value that customer expects. They live with them, they evolve with them, they're being agile. It's not about just, they produce products that are relevant of today and an inspiration of tomorrow. So being close to your customers, if we think about IKEA products, whether you're rich or poor, a lot of people have, something from IKEA, even some kind of, a kitchen thing from IKEA. And it's an interesting thing, right? IKEA lives with their customers. They know everything. They know how their customers have, what type of breakfast setup they prepare every morning, how they have their breakfast, what they require in order to prepare for the breakfast. It's just one of the examples. And they keep on, inventing, reinventing, rebranding themselves, adding new things in order to stay close, in order to be relevant to their customers. So again, I go back to the same thing, customers. Think about them, know them, listen to them, involve them now. The whole idea of co-creation now, content creation, co-creation, working together with your customers, again, plays an important role.
Well, I think it's the key of our conversation today, because there are, of course, a lot of, no matter in what kind of industry you are, there are hypers. I don't know how to call them, startups that come here just like one-day companies who are peers to make some cash and disappear one day. But if you are the person with, like as you said, value that you can use and package it in the an asset of your company, like basically it's your brand that you can constantly leverage, and to build up this value that is really irresistible. It's all about really knowing your customer, what kind of value you delivers, and which kind of change it brings in their life, what kind of problem you solve. So I think it's like great foundation what everybody have to think about when they start brainstorming, putting together parts of building up the brand. So and also I wanted to talk about a bit different perspective. It takes years to build up a powerful brand, but it's just can take just one, bad news to destroy it. And it would be great to also mention something about the brand protection. Taking, for example, the recent example, the Ferrero scandal, when there was salmonellas found in the products for kids. And it was shortly before the Easter celebration, all this chocolate eggs, bunnies, basically when demand is very, very high. When something like this happens, what does it take to recover the brand?
Wow, very difficult question. We live in a hyper-aware society, hyper-connected. And it's like you said, there are companies that are there to be, they created just to become a unicorn. That's one ambition they have in their life is just to become unicorn. And of course, and there are companies that work, that building the company, building the businesses whole their life. They build it for legacy. And in general, when I think brand is something that you create over time, is a long-term game. It's like building the business, like I said, it's a long-term plan, it's a long-term game. Now, yes, you build it, create it, and then in one social post or one wrong action, it can be destroyed nowadays. Well, a good PR, a good crisis manager, proper communication plan, sometimes it's not sometimes, I think always is good to be true, transparent, and if you made a mistake, admit it rather than deny it and hide it. You can't hide anything anymore at all. So admit it, but in the properly considered way. Be transparent and authentic, and then show your customers that no matter what, even if you did a mistake, that you understood and you will correct it and you will do your best not to repeat it again. So that's as far, but to be honest, with everything that's going on with cancel culture and so on, it's super difficult now. Of course, super difficult now to protect yourself as a person, as a brand, as a company, as a nation these days. So it's a very difficult thing. So good PR plans, be transparent, be honest, and have a great communication team on board. I would say. Maybe sometimes, evolve your customers and help them somehow evolve them in co-creation, in content creation together. I don't have the example right now in my mind, but I think, help them to help you, to protect you, could be also as an example. So I can see that, for example, with bloggers, that if they're being attacked, they just ask their fans and their followers to attack that person. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but that's how you involved your tribe of people, maybe to help you. So the most important thing, I think, be honest. Don't hide it.
Well, that's true. The truth is the only way nowadays how you can basically be connected with your customers, because we're living in completely different times, and the authenticity, this truth are always the bridge between you as a company to people who you want to serve, basically. And I remember there was an example, because you mentioned bloggers, an influencer who, she said something like, she had probably a bit different intention in the message that she was spreading about, like women's abuse or domestic violence, and but people heard it a bit different, and there was such a huge attack on her. But instead of like attacking people or protecting herself, she really apologized, and what she did, she just started to reach out to different experts, created the whole documentary. And of course, maybe she lost part of the audience, but also she maybe attracted completely new people, because with this, there was the whole view of society on this kind of topic. So yes, it's very important to be authentic with your customers. And I think on this nice note, it's good to end. And normally at the end, I always ask my guests to imagine that they are creators, because I believe everybody are creators of their own universe. So as Nina creator, what would be your message to our audience? What your voice would like to project and light up their entrepreneurial path?
I think important thing is that as an entrepreneur is to be always optimistic, no matter what. And I think now we are again entered already challenging times. So having that optimistic perspective is super important. Sometimes in order to find it, you need to find a purpose. And something that maybe we'll have another podcast, that whole purpose-driven business. Purpose-driven business or meaningful business is when you're not there just to create money for yourself, but you actually create value for people, either through your business, either for people, social, or the planet. So I think having that purpose, being optimistic, will keep you always, above, will always keep you on the right path, I would say, in difficult times, in great times, that it will give you the direction and strength, because you know that you're doing it for something bigger. and it will definitely keep you more positive. It will help you to differentiate from your competitors or for other people, or to stand out. It will help you also to be closer to your customers, to have that emotional connection, because your customers nowadays, they don't want just to make someone rich. They want to do something. They want to be they want to be part of something bigger, and it will help you to keep the best employees for the company. So that I would say, I would love to create a business ecosystem where every company is there to serve something bigger, be profitable, serve something bigger, be respectful to each other, and very ethical in the way, in their actions.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your expertise today. And I invite all people who are listening us or watching us on YouTube, if you have any questions regarding the branding, or in general you would like to dive into this topic deeper, follow Nina in social media. We will leave the links in the description box below. And if you like this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. And it's so important nowadays we're all connected, as we were talking today about. So if you feel like anybody will be benefiting from this, don't forget to share. And I see you in the next episode.